thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Fernandez, and you're watching SCORE TV. SCORE is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping small businesses across the United States get off the ground, grow, and achieve their goals through education and mentorship. So whether you are a new entrepreneur or you've been in business for a long time, our SCORE mentors could offer you free business mentoring and other resources for the life of your business. To connect with us, please check out our website at chicago.score.org. You could email us at info@scorechicago.org or call us at 312-353-7724. Today we're going to talk about how Accion can assist entrepreneurs with access to capital and other services. With me today are Tierra, Bradford, and Patrice, Hudson, who are community lenders at Accion Chicago. Tierra and Patrice, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. So as you know, entrepreneurs are finding it challenging more and more to have capital they need to start and grow their businesses. So tell us about Accion and what types of businesses does the organization work with and what services does it provide to address this issue?
Absolutely. So Accion is a not-for-profit micro-lender. Yes. So we provide loans and business coaching to small business entrepreneurs in all of Illinois and Indiana. We offer a long range of loans. So we start at $500 and we can go up to $100,000. We work with a range of businesses, truckers, food businesses, most industries except for I think tobacco and firearms, anything illegal we cannot work with.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to add anything?
No, you covered it.
All right, well, thank you so much for explaining that. So community development financial institutions, or CDFIs, like Accion, are essential to filling up this funding gap that exists among small businesses. So tell me, what does it mean to be a CDFI?
Yeah, for us, we've set our standards that we help our loans finance go to 60% of minorities or low to moderate income borrowers.
And that's actually a much needed service because a lot of the small business owners that I would come across, they are so underserved, especially coming from, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses. They are so underserved. So what is your role at Accion before we get going, and what inspires you both to do this type of work?
So we're both community lenders, so we are like the front-facing. We face the clients. We go out in the community and we meet the different business owners. We collect the documents, so we are taking borrowers through from the start, the process with the application, all the way through the underwriting process, and then we keep that relationship as at the end through the life of the loan. What inspired me personally is that I think that small businesses are the key to revitalizing neighborhoods. I do think that just being able to support and provide capital and resources to small business owners, and these business owners then provide jobs in their communities is the key. I don't think that children or anyone in their community should have to go outside of their community to get basic needs and basic things that they would have to go like downtown to get. They should be able to get that in their communities, and I think the first step towards that is to help small business owners.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tierra. What about you, Patrice?
Yeah, definitely. Much like what Tierra said, we help clients from the beginning stage to the approval stage of the loan. And what inspires me to do this kind of work is to help entrepreneurs that don't have the knowledge or resources available to them to be successful and obtain what they do need in order to have a sustainable business.
And I was at your office a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed that recently Accion moved to the west side of Chicago, and your new office is located now in the Hatchery. So what is the Hatchery, and how is Accion involved in all of that?
The Hatchery is a nonprofit food incubator, so we are located in Garfield Park on Kedzie and Lake. It's a joint venture with Accion and ICNC, and the hatchery space, it provides, so we have shared kitchens. There are individual kitchens as well, where like a food and beverage client, whether they're starting out or they just need a space to, if they have like a big catering event or they just need to prepare food, they provide a space for that. there's going to be opportunities for business owners on the west side to use the space in the hatchery for free. We're also going to open up the space for workshops and different events to help businesses grow, as well as like things like food certifications, like Safe Serve for food and beverage businesses. And in that same building are Accion's office. So the hatchery serves food and beverage clients, but Accion serves any business owners except for illegal industries.
Sure.
And then inside of Accion as well, beyond the capital, we provide business coaching. So we have an in-house business coach that can help a client, whether they just have an idea with the business, or if you have an existing business and you're looking to scale up or scale down, we can help with that as well.
And that is an excellent resource, because if a business owner, let's say, wants to create a food product, instead of spending a lot of time and money on getting a location, they could actually go ahead and go to the hatchery and test their idea first, right, before investing a lot into it.
Yes.
And what opportunities and programming will take place at the hatchery?
So again, it would be like we're going to host different workshops and events. Open the space up to that. We also, the Garfield Park Farmers Market will host it. The first event is this upcoming Saturday. And as well as it's just going to be we're hoping to make it into like a hub, a place where small business owners, not just on the west side, but more specifically, we are looking to reach out and be more on the west side community, in the west side communities, but small business entrepreneurs across the city, if they want to come to the hatchery, it can be a hub where they can get as much information as they need.
That's perfect. And one of the things that I loved about having both of you today is that one of you has the west side and the other one has the south side of Chicago.
Yes.
Can you tell the audience specifically what neighborhoods you both cover, just so they know that, you know, we're taking care of those neighborhoods in the south and west sides of Chicago?
Absolutely. So I work on the west side. More specifically, I work in Austin, North Lawndale, West Humboldt Park. On my team, we also focus on West Garfield Park, the full Humboldt Park, Pilsen, Little Village. So we cover like the entire west side area. And then you can...
Yeah, I work on the south side, and we work from like Inglewood, Chatham to like Alsip, Calumet City, Calumet Park, things like that. So we have like a really grand scale with the south side of Chicago.
That's great. And when you actually go to these neighborhoods, I mean, do a lot of the people know the resources that you offer, or is that news to them?
It varies, but surprisingly, on the west side, speaking for like the areas that I work in, we've had to do a lot of groundwork. Accion partners with banks. We send referrals back and forth. So if someone can't qualify for a bank loan, they refer them to Accion. On the west side specifically, there aren't many, established banks as there would be on the north side. So we've been doing a lot of groundwork with reaching out to community organizations. On the west side specifically, there are a lot of faith-based organizations, so just partnering with them to be able to get the word out. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, Accion is a great resource, but it'll help more people if they knew about it. So just being able to spread the word and actually being physically in the community helps to build that trust, and people know that Accion is there and we're there to help.
And Tierra, you mentioned partnerships, and because one of the things that we do at SCORE Chicago is that we aim to collaborate more with a lot of our resource partners instead of working in separate silos. So at Accion, how do you partner with other organizations and resources?
So we partner with a variety of organizations. Some micro lenders like Accion would be CNI, Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives. WBDC, the Women Business Development Center, they provide loans at a micro level, that the same level that we do. There are also organizations like LISC, LISC, CCLF, CRF that provide larger loans, so out of our range, but still maybe too small for a bank to provide that capital. So a variety of organizations. We also work with organizations that don't lend. So currently I'm working, I'm doing office hours at Bethel New Life, which is, they have a SBDC in their location. They're also located in Austin. And places like the Urban League, so different organizations that's outside of like the micro lending world, but also want to help revitalize their community, so they are supporting small business owners.
And it's important because knowing how to get a business loan can mean the difference between success and failure at many points in the life of a small business. You already mentioned LISC in the beginning, and are there any other lenders that exist in Chicago, and how do you all work together specifically?
So LISC, WBDC, CRF, CCLF, I may be missing a few, but we all work with each other because there are some things, we all have our own niche, I feel like. So there are some things that maybe Accion can't work with, like a large real estate purchase, so we would refer them to LISC and vice versa. So they refer back and forth, or sometimes we pair them on. So if someone has a big need, Accion can provide as much capital as they can and pair it with capital from another organization so that that client isn't underfunded and they can get their project complete.
And those partners are really important because, like you said, if it's too small for a big bank and if it's too big for a nonprofit lender like Accion, then you want to go ahead and make sure that you also take care of those small business owners in that missing middle gap.
Exactly.
So that's definitely a good approach. And now let's turn to a lot of our underserved populations. So women, minority, veteran-owned businesses, they typically face numerous challenges and barriers to qualifying for traditional financing. So what factors do banks require small businesses in order to qualify for lending?
Yeah, that'll definitely depend on the bank. I know from some banks it might require you to have like a 680 or better credit score. You have to be in business for like over 2 years. It'll like have some certain like revenue brackets that you would have to reach, and also like probability thresholds. So for like our smaller businesses and like our minorities, it's not a lot of knowledge of what is needed, or they don't have the things that are needed in order to get their business up and running.
And sometimes it's just a matter of creating this awareness, right, for the minority-owned and women-owned businesses and other segments, even veteran-owned businesses, because a lot of the times we know these resources exist here in Chicago, but that doesn't mean that, you know, the small business population know these resources exist. So I'm so glad that we're actually here talking about this and creating a lot of awareness. And so given the important role of entrepreneurship and community development, we have to ensure that business owners, regardless of background, have access to the support that they need. So how does Accion help businesses work on barriers that might be limiting them from a lot of these banking opportunities?
I would say Accion, we take a different approach. In that we are, I would say, a little more lenient. So, for example, we don't have a minimum credit score. The credit score helps us gauge like the amount that someone is able to qualify for. But Accion is a CDFI again, and like other CDFIs, they operate on the premise that they know that there's economic, there are areas or there are certain people that were left out of like mainstream capital due to things like economic redlining or lack of equity for some generations. And so we understand that, and that's why we don't have like a set credit score, because we know that that's reserved for some populations, and it will leave out a large part of our target populations. As well as so we have a business coach that's available, and we can walk someone through the process, whereas a bank, they would request documents and you need to provide it to them, and they either like it and it's good enough or it's not, whereas we would help them. We help with the business plan, and we come up with creative ways to make the loan work. The way we look at finances, if someone like is mingling personal and business finances, we still look at it. There's nothing, I don't think, nothing too crazy, but I guess to say we're a little more lenient, but at the same time we are providing technical assistance, because eventually we do want them to be able to graduate and receive a bank loan, because it's more money and at a smaller interest rate. So we're providing technical assistance. We're helping, although we're taking it into an account for their smaller Accion loan, we are giving them advice and helping, I guess, providing assistance and helping them separate their finances or things that they need assistance with.
Right, and I know you mentioned that there's really no set limit for a minimum FICO score, but if a business owner, let's say, walks into Accion and they said that they said, hey, my FICO score is pretty challenged, it's in the 500 range, so what would you say to that client, and what would be the goal for you to meet?
So we would have to look at the credit report. So we're looking at the history.
Okay.
If there was like something that went on in the past, but we can see that they've been catching up on payments and they're paying everything on time, or any collections, they are on a payment plan, or they're willing to work on their credit. We have a product called the credit building loan.
Okay.
So that starts at $500 and then goes up to $2,500. A lot of clients who have challenged credit, they come. That's their initial like in the door loan with Accion. Yes. And it helps because they establish, there's like a trust established on both ends. And normally, usually they come back to Accion for additional funds, and they are able to qualify for a higher amount because they received that technical assistance during the loan process, and then over the life of the loan, whatever they need assistance with as far as like the credit, or if they had other issues that prevented them from getting the higher loan, we assist them so that they're able to come back and get a larger loan in the future.
Perfect. And for a business owner who wants to go into Accion for help, how often would you say that I would have to come in as a client for me to achieve success with you? Do you suggest coming in every week, every month, from your experience?
No, not from my experience. I would say you can even do your application online, even if you can't come in person. You probably maybe 1 or 2 times. For business coaching, it might be a little bit more, depending on like the workshops or how many times you have to meet the business coach. But to come in person, maybe like 1 or 2 times for like the closing and a little bit more assurance. But yeah, you can take care of it online, and then we can kind of walk you through the steps over the phone until it's time for closing.
And one of the things that I also tell a lot of the small business owners is that sometimes they may be afraid to come in because they're either embarrassed. A lot of business owners got hit hard from the recession. So because of that, they may have had a flourishing business. Because I see people that are making over $1 million a year, and then their credit scores used to be in the 700s or higher, and then they come in and they're embarrassed. I mean, do you see that a lot? And what do you say to them to make sure that, look, we're not here to judge you, we're here to help you?
Yeah, we just give them a chance to tell the story.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not like much like Tierra said, we're not just looking at the score and it's approve or denial. We're looking at the score and asking you, well, why did this happen? Or why did you become default? Or why are you past due? And that will kind of gauge on how we'll move forward, whether it's assistance or coaching or funding.
Got it. And for small business owners now, online lending is becoming a popular option when looking for funding. So how prevalent are online business lenders, and how can small businesses determine whether they are reputable or possibly predatory?
So those loans, they're very prevalent, and they are, it's appealing in that they're offering maybe working capital that someone needs at the moment. Maybe they need to make payroll, or they have to buy a piece of equipment and they don't have the time, or maybe not the patience, or they don't have the confidence to apply for capital with a bank, or they're not aware of a resource like Accion. And then so it's quick and it's easy to get that. They normally fund within the next day or two. It's pretty quick, low documentation process. I would say with that, so the way to, I guess, figure out or know that if it's predatory is they normally have daily or weekly payments attached to credit card sales. And there's there are like prepayment penalties and a lot of hidden fees. The interest rate can go upwards of 50 to 100%, but sometimes it's not displayed to you up front. So I would say look at the terms of those loans, and you can always call an organization like Accion and just talk it over with us. It doesn't mean that you have to apply for a loan with Accion or do anything further. If you just want advice or need to know if this is predatory or not, or if this is a good idea to take out the loan, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. But yeah, normally those high interest rate loans, they're good for like right now, but over the long term you end up paying back way more than what you borrow, and it's not really good on your cash flow.
So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that whatever lender you go to, if it's an online lender especially, you want to make sure that they're very transparent with their fees, and you want to make sure that you could go ahead to Accion or even a lawyer to kind of just make sure you read all the fine lines. And one of the things that I noticed about those online lenders is you got to make sure that the ROI works that you have a big profit margin so that you have the capacity to actually repay that loan. Otherwise, it's going to go ahead and hurt your business more than it's going to help you.
Exactly.
And so what does your application process look like, and what documents should applicants have prepared?
Yeah, it's about a 15-minute online application, and it's just a quick review of credit. It gives the applicant time to explain their business, what they're looking for, how much they're looking for. Give us just like a brief overview of the client, and documentation. It can include things such as your business plan, your bank statements, or tax returns, depending on the loan amount.
But if they don't have any of those things ready, they could just walk right in and say, look, I'm here to go ahead and test my ideas, and that's okay too, right?
Yeah, even if you don't have it ready, you can go ahead and take the fill out the application. You won't need any documentation to fill out the application.
Perfect, because I just want to make sure that business owners know that even if you don't have everything ready, still go.
Yes.
Go to Accion, go to Score Chicago. These services are free for small business owners, so there's no reason to go ahead and run your business by yourself or start or grow it.
Exactly.
And so are there any grant opportunities that exist in Chicago that small businesses can take advantage of?
A few that come to mind are the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund and Retail Thrive Zones. So these are grants, and they're different because they're reimbursements. So you do have to provide upfront capital or get the work done to yourself. But it reimburses you 50 to 75% of the project for brick and mortar spaces if you're doing improvements to the facade. So if you're like a storefront, mom and pop shop, and you don't have any signage up and no one knows that you are there, you're not getting a lot of foot traffic, and you want to put up new signage, or if you want to install a new HVAC system, or anything with the walls or plumbing, anything that has to do with like the, I guess, non-interior design part of the building, then they will reimburse you. And where organizations like Accion and other micro lenders come is that we can help provide that capital, I guess that bridge funding. So if you have a $100,000 project, you don't have all of the funds in order to get reimbursed by through that program, then Accion can sort of come in and help with those funds. And then most recently, there was a Westside United grant, so it was like a coalition of, I think, 7 to 9 hospitals on the west side, and they just awarded 7 business owners that live on the operate on the west side with grants between $5,000 and $15,000, and I'm sure that there are going to be more opportunities for that, especially this year.
Those are a lot of great resources. So for those interested in your services, what is the best way to contact Accion?
You can go on our website, us.accion.org, or you can email myself or Patrice individually. My email address is Bradford, T as in Tom, BRADFORD @accionchicago.org.
And it'll be Patrice Hudson, and my email would be phudson@accion.com.
Well, Tierra, Patrice, thank you so much for being here today and for all you do for the community. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Of course. And to those of you watching right now, if you're an established business owner who likes to volunteer, we are looking for more SCORE mentors. Again, our website is chicago.score.org. My name is Hannah Fernandez. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time on SCORE TV.